Hey guys, today we're going to be moving our does over to our buck pasture. We're also moving Heat Seeker over to his pasture that the yearlings are going to be in. We got a whole bunch of movement as far as the does are concerned. We just finished up, or I should say LaLa hung the gate in between the two 1 acre buck pastures that we have on the buck side of the farm. We got all three of my children. We got Madeline, Rick, Isaac, and Patrick. LaLa's up front with Madeline right now. Papa's getting some panels out of the back of the truck. Tons of stuff's happening. Before we get started, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Make sure you guys ring that notification bell for future content. Let's get into it. Is it hot outside? Is it like 2,000 degrees outside? It's really hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, put it at the fence because you don't want to make it, I would assume you don't want to make it too narrow because they're going to freak out. If you make it wider, yeah, they'll have a little bit more room to like evade you, but they'll have a little bit more room to evade you, but they won't have. Gloves. So what we've gotten done so far is, and I'll turn the camera around here in a minute. This is the goal. The goal is, this is where we keep all of our does. Alright, this is the main buck barn. If you haven't seen the video on that, go check it out. I'll leave a card in the top. But this is the main goat barn. And this side of the property is where we keep all of our does. Well, we had an issue a while back with does getting in that we did not want breeded, or bred, excuse me. We had an issue with yearlings and stuff like that getting into the breeding paddocks where we had Einar and Jarl, and we had a couple goats last year, a couple does that were not supposed to be bred that ended up being bred because they got into the breeding paddock. Well, this year what we have done is we have created the buck barn. This right here was created because of that problem. And it's a lot smaller than the doe barn, simply because we only have 2 bucks, but we have 25 does. So here is the dilemma: getting does from over there to over here. And the way this is done is, once they get over here, and I'll go over how we get them over here in a minute because that's the hard part. Once we get them over here, you have the Einar side. That's Einar. Say hey, Einar. And you have the nasty Jarl side. Say hey, Jarl. So it's split right down the center. If you look way down there, you can actually see where there's just a dividing fence. Each one of these paddocks is set up as 1 acre. Now, this is how we're going to funnel them in. This is all temporary fencing. It's all hog and sheep paneling, and this right here will run all the way from the buck side of things over to the doe side of things. We'll open up those 2 gates right there. That's where LaLa feeds the goats. We'll run them into this little run right here, and then they'll go into their respective paddocks on the other side with whichever buck that they will be bred with this year. So it's pretty cool. It's our first time doing it like this. Didn't take us very long to set it up. Probably somewhere in the neighborhood of about an hour to set up all the temporary fencing with the T-posts. And this was the plan, which is why it's kind of hard to kind of give you a layout of the land, but this right here is on the opposite side of course, the buck or the doe barn, which is way over there, and then the shop's in the middle. So we just kind of go around the shop with the paneling, and we run them down in here into the chute, and then into the buck barn, and like I said, into their respective paddocks where they will be bred. And then after they've been bred, they'll stay in there for a couple months, or they'll stay in there for about a month and a half or so, and then we'll bring them back over to the doe pen. So this is all we got done today. It's hot as all get out. It's the dog days of summer, and so everybody's hot, everybody's ready to go inside, everybody's ready to call it a day. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and jump into tomorrow, right Papa? Jumping in tomorrow.
We didn't get as much done as we wanted, but we made a good start. We'll finish it up tomorrow.
We will. We'll finish it up tomorrow, so I'll see you then. Day 2 of the goat moving has commenced. We're finishing up some last minute preparations for the move. Madeline's up. I think the boys are still up front. LaLa's gonna go ahead and start moving the does over into the doe pasture, or the doe barn, and then we'll start pushing them into the chute. Remember, Heat Seeker has to go over to the doe barn because he's gonna get the yearlings in the small paddock over there. So you guys enjoy.
His hooves don't look very good. It's been more than a year since I've trimmed them, and we moved him into a pasture that has no concrete or rocks or anything over here for him to walk on. It's all sand. So
Alright guys, so we got the bucks where they're supposed to be. Next is the does. We're gonna take a short break because those 3 tired us out.
Meathead, come here. Come on, baby. Come here, Meathead. Chewy, come here and get a bone or cookie. Come here.
Right. Now.
134.2.
Nene, get me the hoof and heel, please. It's in my box over there. Chewy has horrible feet. He always has.
But he's not Kiko either. He's a cross.
And again, I only do Chewy's feet once a year, so unless I see something's going on.
Chewy's our boar weather cross, or boar Kiko cross, who we weathered the day we got him.
Chewy's feet are always really bad because of the boar in him, and I don't do him very often. Unless I see there's a problem and he's limping funny, but he never does. It's just Chewy.
So Chewy is probably our only, other than our show goats of Madeleine's, Chewy's our only, I would call him pet goat, because he really is the companion goat. So when we bring new goats home that we put in isolation, we put Chewy in there with them, and they wait it out together. Right now he's hanging out for the last few weeks with our one meat goat that we banded, that LaLa banded last week. So Chewy's been hanging out with that little buckling.
So he's not by himself.
So now that we're moving them around into their breeding groups, we're going to set Chewy and the little buckling out into the big doe paddock for the next month. So it'll just be two goats on about 5 acres. And I don't think Chewy, it's been a good year since Chewy was over there on that much land.
If you like the video, give us a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button and ring that bell.
Chewy. Chewy. Come on. Come on, Chew. Come on, Chew.
So we got all but one of Heat Seeker's does in his little yearling doe paddock that he'll be breeding all those in. Kind of want to show you guys real quick how we have our barn set up and how it benefits to us. And some of this was kind of thought of on a fly, but the way we have the gates set up in this barn allows us to kind of improv how we do this, and so it's actually really cool. We have put every single one of our does in this run right here. All right, it goes all the way down to where the chute is, which is way up there. I'll show you that here in a minute. Then we go ahead and we pull, depending on what buck those does are going to, we pull all those in at one time. We get them all done. We get them into their respective paddocks. So this is kind of the this is from start to finish how we get all the does in, where they go, and where they end up at. So I'll go ahead and I'll show you guys that now. It's pretty cool. So all that out there is where the does spend all of their time. All right. Once it starts breeding season, we need to go ahead and we need to bring all the does in. Well, LaLa, standing over there sweating because it's hot and hard work. LaLa goes ahead and feeds all the does in here. We've trained them all to come in here, and because of that, we are able to kind of round up all the goats whenever we need them. Now this time, like I had said earlier, we go ahead and we run them all into this side. We got all of our goats inside this run right here. Now this is all but I think 5 of them, which is what we just put in there with heat. Now we go ahead and we put them in groups depending on what buck they're going to, and they end up down at the end. This right here is our goat chute. It's where we do all of our health checks. This right here is a scale. That's right there is where we get our weights. We did a video on this a while back. I will go ahead and leave a card up top. That way you guys can check it out. It's a little bit older. It was done on the GoPro, so it's not nearly as nice quality, but still a very informative video. We might do another one later on in the future. But once they get done with this, we put them in the chute. We go ahead and we check their FOMACHA. We go ahead and get their weight. We go ahead and trim their hooves, depending on the score of their FOMACHA. We may or may not be giving them a wormer. And they end up right here. This is where LaLa again feeds all the goats. At this point, like I said, we'll go ahead and we'll shoot them over there to Heat Seeker, if that's who they're going to this year, or we'll send them out to this. This is that temporary run, or that temporary kind of like a funnel over to the main doe pasture, which you're not going to be able to see too well. You can see it's on the other side of the Featherlight trailer, way out there. Right now we're done with Heat Seekers girls. They're all in there with him. Looks like he's challenging one right now. LaLa just said that he only has 4. So he is currently challenging Felicity, and it's a fun little showdown. So let's go ahead and get the rest of them over to their respective paddocks with their bucks. And if y'all are enjoying the video, make sure you guys like it, leave a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and ring that little notification bell for future content. Let's keep going. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start on Einar's does now. We're gonna start with Pawnee.
Here comes Miss Thang.
Pearly girl. Next is Tiny.
Oh, Tiny.
And Cloud. And last but not least, the Queen Bee.
Come on, Queen. Let's go.
Let's see how much she weighs.
Natalie. Leia weighs 167.8.
167.8. Whoo-wee!
So we finished with Einar's group. He's got 5 going in with him. He's got Tiny, Pearl, Cloud, Leia, and Pawnee to go in with him. So what we're doing now is just pushing them through the chute that we created, and we'll just rush them through the gate that leads into Einar's paddock. Yago! 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 Let me get ahead of him and push. Oh, there you go. There you go. Yago! 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 Yeah! Yeah! Come on. Come on. Come on, Leia. Come on. Yago! Yeah!
Come on, yeah.
Let's pull the gate close. Yeah! Yago! Yago! And the first 5 are in on this side. So that worked out really, really well. We didn't have to grab him by the horns and drag him across. So
Yeah.
for his 5 are in with him, he's done. We got his weight and everything this morning. And so now he's getting kind of nickery. He's checking them out already.
It looks like Einar's happy.
And Jarl is not. Jarl's wanting to get through that gate.
Jarl's like, what the heck is happening here?
Hey, I'm the boss. You're supposed to be on my side.
Alright, now for Jarl's baby girls.
Oh, wait.
And that's Stormy. Didn't even have to touch her. That's how good Papa is. He's the one running the gate chute. Alright, Michael Harris, this one's for you. We're grabbing Rose. Come here, baby. If you guys haven't seen the Rose video, check that one out. I'll leave a card in the top.
She's a 1.
As always, a 1. What you think, Dad? You gonna let her run you over again?
Nope. Look her feet up. Nope, since Rose had babies, she's the only one that had triplets this year. And since she's had babies, she's calmed down a lot since in her more wild days. I guess it's the difference between adulthood and teenagehood.
And handling. We handle her.
And we try to handle her, and she's calmed down a lot. She's still not all that people friendly, but
She's still the infamous Rose. What'd she weigh, Madeline?
She weighed 116.
116?
Yeah.
Even a whole lot of work on her.
She don't need a whole bunch of work on her feet because she stays moving.
She's got a cracker in her mouth, she won't chew it.
That's where it all went wrong last time.
Wait, are we?
Rose. Think to yourself, what are these stupid humans doing? Let her pee in peace. Next, we're gonna go ahead and grab Fancy. This is actually Heat Seeker's mama.
She's a wild one.
All right, Aspen. And Sigrid.
Why don't you do the outro?
Both.
Tricky.
We are tired.
Woo!
Hot.
Blazing hot. 92 degrees, 100% humidity.
Papa always says 1,000% humidity in Florida. So it's hot as all get out. We're done. We got all of our does in their respective paddocks, and they are going to be left in there for about a month. As you can hear from all the other does, it's been a really, really long day. But we are done. So thank you guys for joining us on the start of this year's breeding season 2020. And make sure you guys 21 2021. I like that more because we haven't even made it to 2021, but I like that year way more than I do 2020. So but make sure you guys, if you haven't already, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Ring that notification bell for future content. LaLa.
Always be kind to each other.
Papa.
And always treat others as you would like to be treated.
Thank you guys for visiting the farm. See you next time.